Hello, thank you very much for testing this app for me and help me debug it. This is just a tutorial for all the development kind of people and people testing it, and a few coaches who are going to be looking at it too to see how it works. It's just very simply running through the basic features just to check out and have a quick look at how it all works. So if I get it started up, what I'll do first is just delete all the data, so I'm in exactly the same place as you guys are. Just quickly get this back to scale. Right, okay, so yeah, we actually delete the data just by hitting that little button once. You get the warning, and hitting it a second time. I close the app manually here myself to get this to work. On the iPad and iPhone, it'll do it automatically. Okay, so from this point now we're at the trial version, which is where you guys are. You've hit this button here, so you're watching this video. What we'll now do is we'll have a quick look at what it looks like in default mode, which is obviously how it starts. You can see there's 5 players, 5 subs. When you click the little tick, it'll run off and show you the kind of the pitch area where all the work is done. What I will just quickly show while we're in this area here, this part of the menu is kind of left free, so that when you're holding the iPad, if you're left-handed of course, sorry if you're right-handed, so your thumb doesn't press on the buttons. It's a little bit of just a helper, really. It doesn't matter too much, but when you hit this little spanner, it'll release the rest of the buttons. There's a few to go through, nothing too serious. They're all reasonably simple. One's more complicated than the rest, but there's nothing to worry about. So let's quickly fire into this one first, which is just to recolor and change the appearance of things, so you can have different sets of lines to match what type of football you're playing. And obviously the pitch is there, nice little muddy one there, we'll use that. And the crisscross, obviously you can have it as kind of an indoor or outdoor court, but we'll go with the crisscross and the slightly muddy pitch. Confirm those changes and you can see that takes effect. Then what we've got, if we just look at this one here, it'll change the colour of the away team and the home team. So for instance, if you wanted to go with that, you'll see that the lettering with inside it obviously could probably use being black, so we've got the option there to choose those two. The next part we'll go through is the formations. So formations hide up in here. We're at 5-a-side at the moment, so there's obviously only a few. These little stars will change accordingly, as you can see. And then when you press OK, the formation changes. Oh, and you've also probably seen that already. Yeah, let's quickly do that too. So the trial version is what you've got at the moment. It'll clean down every time so that you don't get to save anything, which is kind of annoying, but it's supposed to be because it's a trial version. So to get around that, what we actually do to get this as a full version, we'll go into this. It's not the set. It's the settings right at the top left-hand corner. This little panel at the bottom there's a little hidden text box hiding up at the bottom, and when you click that, it'll let you type in. So once you've clicked that, you should find on a iOS or an iPad or an iPhone, it'll pop the keyboard up. You'll also see a number on the left hand side here. That'll be 1 to 4, and it's quite simply this. You just type in this case, 1 more friend, singular. If it was number 2, then it would be 2 more friends with a plural, and 2 and 3 and 4 of course would all be plural too. So just type in that number as a word, 1 more friend, and then hit the Very Clever Media logo, and you've now got trial unlocked. You'll see also somewhere up here that gets called from a database, so these will change in time. They'll work now for a few weeks until we kind of move into a different stage of debugging. Okay, so they should certainly work at this point in time though. Okay, so once you've done that, don't worry too much about these at the moment. We'll come back to a couple of those. You'll notice the ball trail setting here. I'll make it 4 seconds long. If it's standard, its default is 8, which is a little bit on the long side, but it just shows people where the ball is and where it just was. So if I was just to tweak this up to say 9 players, 2 subs, and we click OK and go into the pitch, you can now see that we've got 9 opposition players which you can obviously drag onto the pitch and use as you wish to. And you've got the 9 of your own players. To go in there and start naming these guys up, you click your player, make sure it's highlighted, hit this little button and type in there whatever you wish. Obviously a lot of the time with children and under 16s football, you wouldn't necessarily put the full name in there, you just need to have the initials. And what you'll find is you don't need to initialize here, it'll do it for you. The positional stuff, you just literally do that, or you can type it in if you've got something of your own. But we'll just go with Cam for now, and the same with the number, just click and change the number to whatever you wish it to be. Okay, so we click that through, and you can see it's changed there and updated the initials as well. So if you wanted to actually swap any of these players around, what will happen is you click that one, press the little swap button, click that one, you'll notice the positions stay in place, but the names and the numbers change. That's also going to come back to us in a little while. There's another little extra reason why we've mentioned that. Just before we move on to anything a little more complex, this is our little drawing palette. 3 different line types. If I just pick a red there, that one there, and that one there, you can see the sort of 3 differences really. There's a little wipe there which will actually take on board the thickness of the pen, or you can just go for the big kind of wiper which pretty much gets rid of a large area. Or of course at the bottom there you can see there's a bin where you can just completely knock out everything on that screen. There is also 3 canvases, so you've got one canvas there, a second canvas there, and a third canvas there, and that just allows you to show different things off in sequence as you want to. You can also just hide them up if you want to move things around or do something else, and then just come back to where you were, and that'll be in place, and they will kind of stay with the app as well. So when you move between sections, they'll stay consistent and alive. This is the undo button, so if you basically draw a little line in there and you click undo, it'll disappear. So it's 1 level undo, that's all. It won't get more than 1. But yeah, that just literally sometimes helps you out if you make a little mistake. So if I just clear those down, and we'll just have a look at the next part. So we've done colouring the players, we've done formations, we've done pitch colour. The other thing to just look at is these 2 buttons here. They're obviously a camera. It takes a picture and puts it in your gallery in your iPhone, so you can post them online if you wish to, on social media stuff, to your friends or to the players, to show them how we're going to be set up next week or in the coming game. This one here actually is a printer friendly, so it'll do it in white. So I'll give you a quick example of that. If we just draw a couple of lines, we want this player to be running up and down this channel here. This little fella needs to occupy this area here and this area here mostly, let's say. So you've got those indicators drawn up. Now we just literally go over to this. You'll see it takes a picture. If I just try and launch that picture, those tend notoriously slow at opening pictures, bear with it. You can see we've got that, and now if I do the same thing again for printer friendly, there we go, it'll actually give us a nice white version, so we can print that off. These whites are just nice enough so that it'll make a mark on the page without drawing all the ink out of your printer, so that's quite handy as well if you want to take sheets of paper that you can draw on, or obviously add to a game or a training session. That's quite useful too. If you don't want to carry the iPads or digital stuff about, you can just print it off. Okay, so that's those bits covered. This last little fella here, if I just get rid of all that, yeah, this last little icon at the bottom just means when you've moved things around and shown your players what you're expecting of them or what they should be doing, you can then click this little button at the corner and it will reset back to whatever formation you're set to in here. Okay, so you can just click that and they all drop back, which is quite a nice little feature. So that's the sort of basic parts of the drawing tool: colouring up, making things look pretty, and the naming.